What's up, Detroit? This is the Riles and Riley Rundown, back for another show. We are pre-gaming the Jaguars-Lions game. Another big game for the Lions. This one's actually maybe one of the bigger games of the year, because this is your ultimate chance to get back to 500 and making this team feel good on a winning streak.
And I did mention earlier on that although I still don't believe they're going to make the playoffs. I think they need to pull off a nice run, but I did mention that anytime you stick around that 500 mark, all it takes is one run.
Yep.
So, yeah, I definitely won't say this is a big game because we've been saying that every week. I mean, at this point, every game is a big game in that you can't lose it unless you want to fall out of the race.
I think it's
a win doesn't put you back in it.
I think it's a big game for Calvin. I mean, Calvin has not had... I mean, we kept blaming Stafford at the beginning of the season for not going downfield. Now it seems like he's going downfield to Calvin, and he is hitting Calvin sometimes with pretty good passes, and Calvin's just not catching them right now.
I guess Calvin doesn't worry me because, yeah, his touchdowns are lacking, but his yards are okay.
They are, but I mean, the last few weeks, I don't have the stats right here in front of me for the last few weeks, but I've just noticed a lot of drop passes by Calvin, especially the one on Monday night.
He was... I don't... Well, he was actually shaken up in that game as well.
Yeah, he was.
But no, that was a bad
I don't think he's 100%.
I can't make an excuse. And we're doing a little... I think we're going to do a little bit of post-game as well.
Yeah.
Not as much. We weren't able to get to that this week.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see the Lions, for the first time really this year, play a full 4 quarters.
Yep, I agree.
Even nicer was that it wasn't against a bad team.
Yeah.
Seattle...
well, not against a bad defense. Bad offense, yes.
But not a bad team.
Right, exactly. Yeah, their offense is probably one of the... Probably top 5, honestly, in the league.
The Lions?
No, the...
You mean defense?
The Seahawks.
The defense.
Yeah, the defense is probably one of the top 5 in the league. And honestly, the Lions might be a top 10 offense. So.
And I don't think there's any question they're top 10 offense, even though they haven't showed it yet.
Yeah.
But the one thing that was pointed out to me, as far as playoffs, about that last game, is, okay, let's just go through division winners. Let's say Chicago. It could very well be Green Bay. So Chicago, Atlanta, San Francisco, and who's the other one I'm missing? In New York. Do you disagree with any of those?
No, that's right.
And do they both seem to be, honestly, fairly clear?
Yeah, but besides Green Bay, the only other team...
Well, then we'll go wild card, Green Bay.
The only other
we're giving Green Bay a wild card. And after that, your competition is Seattle.
Yep.
You got the tiebreaker.
Dallas,
Philadelphia, you have the tiebreaker. Dallas, you do not have a tiebreaker yet.
Right.
But honestly, I'm not worried about Dallas. I'm just going to say Seattle, who you have the tiebreaker over. Philadelphia, who you have the tiebreaker over. Minnesota, who you're probably not going to get a tiebreaker over because it's both division record and head-to-head. Right. You can't win head-to-head, so it'll immediately go to division record, and they're in better shape as of right now. Really, I think those are your 3 competition.
I agree.
So, luckily, you do have the tiebreaker over 2 of the 3 you got to worry about. Let's get on that winning roll. This is a week to get 2 wins in a row, get things headed in the right direction.
My one throwout that I'm going to do from last week, you're doing playoffs. I'm going to throw out a big thumbs up to Titus Young. Definitely stepped up.
And Ryan Broyles, both.
Yeah, both of them. I don't know if everybody heard, but before this week, we actually did make a trade for a guy who we would be playing against this week if he wasn't traded to us. Mike Thomas is now a Lion.
Yeah. We'll definitely get into that a little bit.
Yeah. So,
but I think first, now that we've done a little bit of our pregame, we should get into our postgame. I think we should get into our 3 keys for the pregame.
Yep.
You can go first this week. Yeah.
All right. I think the first key, again, this week, I say it every week, turnover battle. I mean, we've got to win the turnover battle, especially this week. You've got Blaine Gabbert as the Jacksonville quarterback. If you can't get a few interceptions in this game, I mean, it's Blaine Gabbert. That's all I'm going to say. He actually isn't that big of a turnover person. He's only got 3 on the season so far.
He's a game manager, but he's a weak game manager.
Exactly. And he doesn't throw for that many yards. This team is basically a run-based team. And now that they don't have Maurice Jones-Drew, it's basically become no team in Jacksonville. I mean, they don't have a passing game. They don't have a running game anymore. If you can't shut down this offense on defense, then we're in a little bit more trouble than we thought.
All right, my number 1 key is going to be the passing attack. I'm not going to give the Lions a guaranteed win to anybody until they prove me something. But if this offense can work like they did last week, I don't think we can lose. Because last week, the offense played up against a good defense, did a good job. Going up against the Jaguars, this offense could score 30, 40 points. And if you do that, you're not going to have to worry about losing.
Yeah.
So the passing attack is my number 1 key. Keep it on track. Hopefully get Calvin the ball. Who knows? Maybe get to see Mike Thomas involved a little bit. But so my number 1 key is the passing game.
And before we get into anything else, if you're a gambler out there and you think that we're trying to tell you to take the Lions over the Jaguars in your survivor pick, because don't trust this team that much yet. If they're your last opportunity and they might have to be your only pick,
it's the most confidence I've had.
Yeah.
Since the week start to the season.
But saying that, I don't think me or Brendan, either of us, are confident saying, "Hey, go pick the Lions over the Jaguars."
If I had to give you a rating on 1 to 10 confidence for this game, I'd probably give you a 7. I feel pretty good about it, but there's no doubt I could feel better.
Right. I felt pretty confident going into Tennessee, too.
No, yeah, but we hadn't played a complete game yet. This is the first time we played a complete game.
Yeah. My second key is going to be back on the defensive side again. Let's get pressure on Blaine Gabbert. The defensive line's actually really stepped up in the last few weeks.
Oh, my gosh, they've stepped up.
And,
they didn't get sacks last week. Yep. People don't realize how quick Russell Wilson is.
Yep.
Russell Wilson probably avoided 5-6 sacks with the throw into the ground.
One thing I think that Sue Hitt did on Cutler that Monday night, I think that it kind of got the rest of the defensive line going. Because when you get a big
they looked good a couple weeks before that, though, too. They've really, I'd say they've gotten things going since week 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think out of all the guys on the team, the only guys who have stepped up all season have been the defensive line. I mean, you've got...
Yeah, I agree. Since I believe it was week 3.
Yeah. And even the first few weeks,
they were not as bad as people made them think.
Exactly.
Week 1, I believe they had 4 sacks.
Yep.
And then they had a struggling week 2 and a struggling week 3.
Yep.
So really, the defensive line has been good. My number 2 key is to handle MJD. MJD hasn't been...
I don't think he's playing this week.
Wait, he's not playing this week? He's hurt?
He's been hurt the last few weeks.
Okay, my number 2 key is not to handle MJD.
Sidelined with a foot injury.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I feel extremely confident about this one now, actually. I might move that up to a 9 without MJD. I guess my number 2 is to stop the offense.
Yeah.
All of it. I mean, I don't really feel threatened anymore. I didn't realize MJD was out. Gabbert can't beat you. Well, he shouldn't be able to beat you. Delmas is out again, I believe.
Well, here's a pretty big...
Don't let the offense get into the high points. Keep them low.
Here's a pretty big factor as to what MJD means to the Jaguars. Their total yards compared to teams, Detroit and Jacksonville. Detroit is 408. Jacksonville is 250. I mean,
a game?
Yes, per game in total yards. Passing, it's 310 to 164. And rushing, surprisingly, Detroit is beating Jacksonville in the rushing game this year with 97 to 87. So,
well, my second key is a very, very wide. It's a big one. It covers a lot of things, but just don't let the offense. I guess, like I said, with the offense, if the offense scores, you're going to win. If the defense stops Jacksonville, you're going to win. Really, if either side has a really good showing, you shouldn't have to worry about much. Yep. Something like John Madden here. Whoever scores more points is going to win the game. But to be fair, I was thrown off a little bit there.
My key is going to be Stafford breakout. The Jacksonville Jaguars, on average so far, they have the worst passing defense in the league. They're giving up 387 yards a game. When your defense is giving up almost 400 yards a game, that's pathetic. This is definitely a game where I would like to see Stafford go for about 400 yards and maybe throw 3 or 4 touchdowns. This is definitely a game that he could possibly do it. And honestly, if he does do it in this situation, it could give him the confidence to go into the next week.
It would be again 2 weeks in a row with a solid showing.
Yep.
So my number 3 key is going to be don't let the fans get into it. A team that's 1-6 is already going to have a hard time getting fans into it. As long as you don't, and the reason I say this is because the Lions are prone to false starts and offside, just both come more of with crowd noise. Although I guess you don't get too much crowd noise on offense, but or on defense, I should say. But anyways,
I'm thinking Jacksonville.
If you don't let Jacksonville take an early lead, then you shouldn't have to worry about the crowd.
Yeah, I'm thinking Jacksonville's probably kicking themselves right now for not going harder at Tim Tebow, because that's probably the only thing that would be selling them tickets right now. This team is not good. I mean, let's just be honest. They're probably last.
They go down as one of the worst teams I've... And they have won a game. I don't know who they beat.
Yeah, I really don't know who they beat either.
They beat Indy, maybe?
It could have been, but, I mean, just looking at it, they're giving up 136 rush yards. They're giving up 251 pass yards, 387 total yards. This team is not good. I mean, there's no good way of putting it. But especially now that they've lost Mike Thomas too, because Mike Thomas was bored of the team. That's what our article said. He was bored of playing for a losing team. It definitely has all the makings to be a really big Lions win here. But with this team, you can't. Yeah, I mean, the Lions are very well known for playing to their competition.
Yep.
So
all right. So we've gotten our 3 keys. We did say we were going to take a look at Mike Thomas.
Yeah.
So I think we should do that now.
Sure.
I think for the most part, you're getting fans who aren't happy with this, which I was explaining to Tom. I don't understand at all.
No, I think he gives you not another Megatron, obviously, on the field, but he definitely gives Stafford another dimension to go to on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
I mean, and he can work out the slot.
Here's my thing about him. You give up a 5th round draft pick. Yeah, 5th round has potential, but generally your 5th round draft picks are not going to be more than average. Mike Thomas has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
If you look at his stats from his second year, last year, I believe he had 800 yards and like 9 touchdowns on a bad team with a bad quarterback.
Even this year, he hasn't even really played, and he's already got 13 receptions for 80 yards. I mean, that's actually a pretty good game.
You know what? My thought process on this is I think he's coming in. We did draft Ryan Broyles to take over Nate Burleson, so that's why people don't like it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, why do we need him now? Why do we need to keep replacing someone every time someone goes down? My personal thinking is you're looking at, if not next year, which I believe it's going to be next year. I have a feeling we may have seen the last of Nate Burleson in a Lions uniform.
Yep.
Not that I necessarily want that, but I think next year your wide receivers go Calvin, Titus Young, Ryan Broyles, and Mike Thomas.
Yeah.
I think they want to have 4 legitimate wide receivers.
Well, not only that, but Mike Thomas also gives you the availability of throwing him out there in the kick return team.
I was just going to mention that as
And
well.
If let's be honest, I mean, as good as Steph Logan is when he does get the ball, Steph Logan's looked a little scary this year.
We may also be seeing the end of. We very well may be seeing the end of
Stephon Logan. It's
which,
just Stephon Logan is a really good returner when he can get the ball. But the scary part is leading up to him getting the ball. I don't know how many times this season I've watched him call fair catch and then run up and try to get the ball again after that. I know it tries to throw the defense off.
The big thing about Stephon Logan, in my opinion, is that he showed it when they moved the kickoffs back closer. Is that he's quick and that he's very agile and he can make guys miss.
Yep.
But he doesn't have the starting speed.
Yep.
And
he's not
kickoffs, when you get a kickoff 10 yards deep in the end zone, if you don't have that starting speed, you can't get anywhere.
Yep.
That's why he looks so much better on punt returns than he does kick returns.
Yep. And he's not that smart with them either. I mean, I've seen a lot of times where the ball is kicked 8 yards deep, and then
I like Stephon Logan. He's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
he seems like a good guy, but we very well may. And I've been saying it week after week. I don't think he deserves a spot on this roster.
When we haven't had a kick return since 2007, I think it is. It's either 2007 or 2008.
No, you mean for a touchdown?
For a touchdown, a kick return.
No, we've had one since we got Stephon Logan. Stephon Logan wasn't on the 0-18 or 0-16 team.
Maybe then, but I know it's been a long time.
It's been a few years. We didn't have one last year, and I don't believe we had one the year before. I believe it was Schwartz's first year we had one.
Maybe, but all in all, basically looking at this game, it's going to be it should be a blowout. I mean,
I'm not going to say it's going to be a blowout because you don't have the confidence to say it's a blowout. You need to win this game. I don't want to say it's an important game. Like I said, going on, for the most part, games are important in that you can't afford to lose them anymore.
Oh, go figure. The last time a Lion ran back a touchdown on a punt was Eddie Drummond against the Jacksonville in 2004. And the last time the Lions ran back a touchdown for a kick return, it was 2010 with Steph Logan. So I mean, it hasn't been too long. I guess it's 2 years, but the punt return, that kind of surprises me. That's 8 years now that we've gone without a punt return.
I remember that game. That was a fun game to watch. I don't know if any of you do, but I mean that was a very fun game to watch.
Yeah.
I think Drummond had three total return touchdowns in that game.
He had 2. He had 2 punt returns and 1 kick return.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And we scored like 28 points.
Yeah. So
we don't have a whole lot to talk about this game. Like often, the pre-games are a lot harder than the post-games.
Yeah. I guess we can go with a final score.
Yep. And okay, you want to go first? Do you want me to take that?
Yeah, I can go first. Personally, I think that this is Detroit's time to shine. I said that's the exact same way when we played Tennessee. I said it was going to be a blowout and everything. I'm going with it again. I think that the Lions can bust out this game. I think we can put up some points. I think we win this game 28-10, 35-10.
That's actually pretty close to my prediction.
I'll go 35-10.
I was actually thinking 35 originally. I think it's very possible we could put up a lot of points, but I'm going to go 28-14.
Yeah. I'm counting on our defense this time. I think the one touchdown is going to come on the special teams as usual. No,
I wouldn't be the least bit surprised.
No.
Although they have looked better the last couple weeks as well.
They have, but there were a few even last game that
I don't know. I wasn't scared at all last game. A couple weeks back,
True.
maybe. I wasn't scared last game.
the one big play that happened last week was the Marshawn Lynch touchdown, the 60, 70-yard touchdown. I mean, that was the one play that.
Yep, I agree.
If you took that play actually did get me a little scared watching that game too, just because it happened right when we didn't want it to happen. We just got a field goal to bring it back within 3, and then literally the first play.
Absolutely, you take that play out of the game. It's almost a perfect game by the Lions.
Yeah, and I mean,
I think they only allowed like 90 yards rushing.
Yeah, and that's not. It's even though they did only give up that one touch, or I mean, not that one touchdown, but the one big play from Marshawn Lynch. You can't really. I don't know. You can't really put that on the defensive line just because. How many times this year?
It was to the outside.
Yeah.
The D line. I mean, of course, you want them to get to the outside, but that's not their main job.
Yep, and there were a few really bad missed tackles on that play too. I mean, I forget who it was. It might have been Houston. I think he was running after Marshawn Lynch, and then he went to dive for him, and he was 3 yards behind him when he dove. I mean, if he would have just ran on an angle instead of trying to run right at him, that's a really big problem for the Lions. I've noticed this year watching the games. A lot of the cornerbacks and safeties and stuff, they're not running on angles to tackle the guys. They're literally every play they're trying to do the big hit, which big hits are great. Don't get me wrong. The problem is you can't try for a big hit on every single play. You have to at least go after the guy, and that's one thing you can't let happen, 70-yard gains. And it hasn't really happened this year, so I guess we can't really blame them for it. And what's not broke, don't fix, I guess. But I'd like to see him start taking a little bit more better angles for tackling-wise. But that's pretty much going to wrap up our pregame. I think me and Brendan actually got season tickets this year for the Pistons. I think eventually we're probably going to do a Pistons preview here.
Yeah, I was doing the same thing. I'm getting ready for a Pistons talk, too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you know Detroit, but we've got something special building here in Detroit, I think. I mean,
we're heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get that up in the next few weeks.
Yep. So for Brendan Riley, I am Tommy Riles, and as always, we say go Lions, and let's bring home the win and get back to 500.